Here we are in the Painting Studio Center. I love to paint, and I have created a chart for you which shows several different types of paint that you can use. Watercolor, we have right here. You've got your own little mixing palette right there, and the watercolor brushes are all together. These are the most translucent, and these are the thickest. They call it the most body. When a paint has thickness, it has body. So these are increasingly heavy-bodied paints. So the Tempera cakes are really similar. They're right over here, and they're just slightly more opaque. Liquid temperas are hidden under here, and we're going to be using these as our thickest paint in 6th grade. And then there's also the option of acrylic paints in 7th and 8th grade, but there's a little more information to go with those. You don't mix your paints in the ice cube trays. That's an easy way to get all your colors to your table. You can mix on a paper plate for the Tempera cakes or the liquid temperas. The plate can go in the trash when you're done. There are different types of brushes here, and you basically want a big brush if you're painting something big. You want a tiny brush for painting something small. We don't have all day here, so if you're painting something big, you want to take a big brush for that area. When you get yourself set up, choose a variety of paint brushes. The only brush that I'm going to recommend against is this very soft watercolor brush for liquid tempera or acrylic, because these soft bristles won't hold a heavy-bodied paint, and you'll be frustrated. So acrylic brushes are the green-handled and the black-handled brushes, and these are inexpensive kind of tempera brushes that we can use, and they have a more bristly handle. You can compare them. We have flat brushes and round brushes. Basically, you want a flat brush for something that's going to be flat, and for something that's rounded or curved, if you're trying to create illusion with your brush marks, you would select a round brush. Some of the round brushes have a nice point at the end of them too, which can be really helpful as you're working. Water containers are here. I have some sponges that can be used for creating a sponging texture if you want to learn about different painting techniques and do the watch and do video on painting techniques. That's an option. I have wax resist options, oil, pastel, and crayons for you right here, and the blue tape for masking. So you got to keep your container clean. When you turn the water on, don't turn it all the way up because it will splash. And to rinse that container, you're just going to make sure that there isn't residual paint around the edge from dabbing your paintbrush on there as you're painting. And go ahead and wipe that edge off and leave your paint container upside down to dry. At the back, you can leave it upside down in the drying racks. For your paintbrushes, once you wash your brushes, you always want to keep them brush side up, because a brush that is left brush side down is going to fray out, and it's not going to be easy to make the kind of marks you want to. You won't have good control over your paintbrushes, and so this is why taking care of your tools is important, because you can only make work that is of quality if you have quality tools and quality materials. So take care of your brushes, because these are the brushes that we have. So when you wash your paintbrush, you can't do lazy person brush washing and just hold it under the sink like this. You've got to use 2 hands. You've got to press into the palm of your hand. This had purple paint. Now the water is running clear. And I'm just going to squish the bristles back together a little bit. And then, of course, in my drying rack right here, I'm going to leave my paintbrush brush side up. There's actual dish drying racks and paintbrush drying racks at the back sink that you can use so your brushes stay brush side up as well. If if I want to wash my table, that is, let me check my notes here. Setting up the paint, you don't necessarily need paper towel or newspaper. You don't necessarily need newspaper underneath your setup. I would not use newspaper unless you know you are setting up to do some kind of splatter painting or really messy, thick type of painting. If you are and you have a lot of paint on your table, you're going to need to get a sponge, and I have big sponges that hold a lot of water. I also have sponges with a scrubby. But since watercolors, temper cakes, and liquid tempers are all water-based paints, they will come off the table and off of your clothes really easily. So you're going to take your sponge. When you get a sponge ready to wash your table, make sure you squeeze it out, otherwise you will drip paint all over the floor. The sponge itself can be rinsed when you're done and squeezed out. So if you have really big chunks of thick paint on your table, use a sponge. The most important thing is that your table space should be clean, but also dry. So you may be able to, if you've just used a little watercolor or a little temper cake, you may be able to take paper towel and a little Windex spray, spritz your area, and dry it. So please be respectful and take care of your supplies in the Painting Studio Center.